Okay, so welcome to the deep dive. And today we're doing something super interesting. We're going to be diving deep into the world of smartphones.
Okay.
Specifically how Samsung really strategically used market research to kind of just become this huge player,
I see.
even overtaking Apple in certain areas.
Mm-hmm.
So the big question we're going to really try to unpack for you today is how did Samsung's, really sharp understanding of what the consumer wanted, how did that drive their success against a company like Apple?
Yeah.
That's just so powerful.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for this deep dive, we're pulling a bunch of insights from this really detailed market research analysis,
Okay.
cognitive market research.
Okay, cool.
So get ready for a deep dive that goes way beyond just sales figures and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's about really understanding the power of listening to what the market's telling you. So I think a good place to start would be to talk about this really bold move that Samsung made
Oh, okay.
early on, and that was their bet on bigger screens.
Yeah, that was a big one.
It's interesting to think about because Samsung's embrace of these larger displays, especially back in 2011 with the Galaxy Note,
Right.
that wasn't just a random hunch market research at the time, it was actually showing this growing desire from consumers like you for screens that could do more, boost productivity,
Mm-hmm.
really create a more immersive entertainment experience,
Right.
and even just be easier to use for everyday stuff, like reading games,
Mm-hmm.
watching videos. And this wasn't just about, people wanting a bigger screen, just because bigger is better. It reflected this deeper desire to get more done on a single device.
I see what you're saying.
Exactly. And if you think back then, the trend, especially with Apple, was very much like compact phones.
Yeah, tiny little things.
But Samsung saw this unmet need, this desire for something that was almost like between a phone and a tablet.
Right.
And the Galaxy Note with its S Pen, that really carved out a whole new space.
It did.
So for our listeners out there, the big takeaway here is that Samsung spotted these things that people wanted, that the market leader was kind of missing. And that bold move to go bigger with the screens, which initially seemed like a gamble, really changed the entire landscape.
For sure. For sure. And that success with the Galaxy Note series wasn't just a one-time thing either.
Yeah.
It really validated their market research. It proved to them that people like you really valued having that extra screen space. So this kind of gave them the confidence to keep investing in that tech, to really refine it. Pushing the boundaries with higher refresh rates,
Oh, yeah.
Those gorgeous edge-to-edge displays that we have now, and just constant improvements to the S Pen.
It's crazy how far they've come.
And think about how much smoother scrolling and video playback is now, all thanks to those improvements.
And here's the thing. Samsung didn't just stop at big screens. They took it even further with foldable devices.
Oh, yeah.
Like the Galaxy Z Fold and the Z Flip. So what kind of consumer desire was driving that innovation?
So the market research that they were doing was showing that people wanted more innovation beyond just the standard smartphone shape.
Yeah, like the rectangle.
Yeah, exactly. Consumers were saying that they wanted the best of both worlds, something portable, but also with a big screen when they needed it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And foldable tech really addressed that.
Yeah.
When you have a device that fits in your pocket, but unfolds into this mini tablet.
That's pretty awesome.
And it's important to remember, this wasn't just about being flashy or different. It was about giving people what they actually wanted.
Yeah, real versatility.
Exactly.
So this move to foldables really made Samsung a leader in that premium, innovative part of the market.
Right.
They're challenging Apple's more traditional approach to design and kind of setting this new standard for what a high-end phone could be.
Yeah, they were really pushing the boundaries.
So we've seen how Samsung used market research to really understand the desire for larger screens and foldables and how that drove their success in the premium segment. Now let's talk about another big part of their strategy, and that's catering to individual tastes through personalization.
Oh, yeah, this is a big one.
Because when you look at the consumer feedback and those deeper behavioral studies, it's clear that people like you want more control over how their devices look and feel.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't want to personalize their phone?
Exactly. People want to tailor their experience to their own preferences and needs. It's like this bigger trend of wanting products that are unique to them and not just like a one-size-fits-all. And
Totally.
this is where we see a really clear difference between Samsung and Apple, because Apple's known for that, really consistent iOS experience where everyone's phone pretty much looks and works the same.
Yeah, you're kind of stuck with what they give you.
Right.
Samsung saw an opportunity to offer something more adaptable. That's where their One UI comes in.
Oh, yeah, that's their own interface, right?
Exactly. And it was designed to be intuitive and easy to use, but also super customizable.
And when we say customizable, we're talking about everything,
Oh, yeah.
from changing themes and icons to choosing how you navigate with different gestures.
Mm-hmm.
You've even got stuff like edge panels for quick access to apps,
Right.
the always-on display that you can personalize, and widgets that put the information you need right on your home screen.
It's all about making your phone truly yours.
Yeah, like an extension of yourself.
And what's really cool is Samsung keeps updating their software based on feedback they get.
Yeah.
So it really shows that they're listening and that your opinions matter.
That's a good feeling.
It makes them more like a brand that actually cares about what you want.
Not just telling you how to use your phone.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about how Samsung's really gone after that high-end market with those innovative screen technologies, and they've offered this deep personalization for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
But what about reaching more people globally? Let's talk about those massive emerging markets.
Okay, yeah. That's a whole other ballgame.
Samsung saw the huge potential in places like India, Southeast Asia, and Africa.
Right. Huge populations.
And the market research in these regions showed that there was this big demand for smartphones that were affordable, but still had decent features.
It's about value for money.
Right.
People still want a good phone. They just don't want to break the bank.
And this is where Samsung's strategy really diverged from Apple's, because Apple's always focused on that premium high-margin segment.
Mm-hmm.
But Samsung wasn't afraid to compete on volume.
Right.
They introduced the Galaxy A and M series to cater specifically to these markets.
That was a smart move.
The Galaxy A line tried to find that balance between affordability and premium features. Things like AMOLED displays,
Yeah.
long battery life, and good cameras.
Those are the things people care about.
And then the M series was really for those budget-conscious consumers. Just solid performance and essential features without the high price tag.
I see.
The key insight here is that Samsung understood the specific needs and the price sensitivity of these emerging markets.
And that really paid off for them.
Oh yeah, big time.
They gained a ton of market share in these rapidly growing economies, sometimes selling way more phones than Apple.
So they really dominated by tailoring their products to what people in these markets actually wanted.
Precisely.
Okay, so we've talked about screens, we've talked about personalization and affordability, but let's shift gears a bit.
Okay.
We're living in this increasingly digital world. So how did Samsung use market research to understand this digital transformation?
That's a really important question because the research was showing that digital platforms were becoming the main way people researched products and made buying decisions.
Yeah, it's all happening online.
Right.
So Samsung realized they had to adapt. They started incorporating AI-powered solutions,
Mm-hmm.
really streamlining their e-commerce, and focused on engaging with customers online.
Makes sense.
What are some examples of this?
Well, think about Samsung's SmartThings ecosystem,
Okay,
which lets you control your smart home devices from your phone,
that's pretty cool.
or their use of augmented reality or AR for product previews.
Oh yeah,
So you can see how a new TV might look in your living room before you buy it.
I've seen that.
They even have virtual try-on experiences for some of their wearables and AI-powered chatbots for instant customer support.
So it's all about making the experience as smooth and engaging as possible,
Exactly.
from that initial interest to getting help if you need it.
And these digital tools give them a real edge, especially compared to Apple's more controlled ecosystem.
So it's all about convenience and accessibility.
Precisely.
All right, so let's look at the big picture here. What's the overall impact of all these market-driven strategies on Samsung's sales and market position?
Well, the impact has been huge. They've become one of the leading smartphone brands globally.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
They're competing head-to-head with Apple in both the high-end and budget categories.
And that early decision to go big with screens and now with foldables, that really set them apart in that premium market.
For sure.
It gave people a real alternative to Apple.
And their focus on affordability was key to their success in those emerging markets.
And it seems like their emphasis on customization and digital transformation has helped them build a loyal customer base.
People like having that flexibility and feeling like their needs are being met.
It's a good lesson for any business.
Absolutely.
You have to listen to what the market's telling you.
And Samsung's success is proof of that.
Speaking of listening to the market, we've got a fast fact for you.
Oh, yeah.
So, Samsung's research-driven strategy actually led to the launch of the first commercially successful foldable phone, the Galaxy Fold,
That was a big moment.
back in 2019. That was a bold move. But it came directly from understanding that people wanted something new, and it really redefined what a smartphone could be, solidifying Samsung's reputation as an innovator.
They took a risk, and it paid off.
So the key takeaway here is Samsung's journey to the top wasn't just luck. It was about paying attention to what consumers actually wanted.
And delivering on those needs.
They went big with screens, they offered tons of customization, they made affordable phones for emerging markets, and they embraced the digital world.
All because they understood what people like you were looking for.
And it makes you wonder, what's next
Yeah.
as technology keeps evolving? What new demands are going to shape the future of the smartphone industry?
Good question.
And which companies will be the best at listening and responding to those needs?
It's something to think about.
I hope this deep dive has given you a better understanding of Samsung's success and the power of market research.
It's a fascinating field.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.